one of the biggest things for startups is network and getting in front of the right people. And it's really tough for smart people who are good at specific technical things to network out of their comfort zone. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because this is something that a lot of startups struggle with, is being able to get, if you don't know who to speak to. Welcome to another episode of From Startup to Wunderbrand with Nicholas Kuhne. Welcome back, everyone. Now, today's guest has one of the coolest names I've heard. He could be a movie star with this name, Kyle Cords. So Kyle started his career as a writer in Hollywood, and he's worked for some of the industry's top showrunners and producers. After COVID, he embarked on a 4-year journey around the globe as a digital nomad, and we spoke about digital nomads in our last episode, I think. Here, specifically discovering the magic of uncovering new things from people who shared similar tastes from him. Hence, Omlist, a movie recommendation app that matches people to their new favorite films. So Kyle works at the intersection of art and technology, and he went from writing movies to building technology that helps users find them in a beautiful way with Omlist. So Kyle, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
And I love that we're on time because the bells in the background tell us that we're spot on. So Kyle, I've got to ask you first, why a movie app?
Why a movie app? Okay, so first off, I think the idea that I was wanting to mostly do was I had this idea of how to organize things, and I love list making, and I just really wanted to figure out this system of how to sort a movie to create a list in the most dynamic way possible, and then how to compare lists and then present items from similar lists. And so that was essentially the full thing. And I was kind of like, I could do that with books, music, different things. But because it came from Hollywood, I was like, well, I know everybody that is like a power user for Letterboxd, so I should start with movies. And also like was just a really controlled way. And I knew how to interact with that open source library through the movie database. And yeah, so that's why movies was first. But inherently, the main product is the algorithms and the flow by which people interact with the app that will eventually have other SKUs.
So I'm going to ask from a differentiation perspective. Obviously, I don't know if you've had this experience, and I'm sure a lot of listeners have had this experience as well. But you go onto Netflix, you go onto Amazon, and you type in a movie, and it up comes the name. You go, hell yeah! You click on that, and nothing comes up. So there's a frustration with that. And sometimes you watch a style of movie, and the algorithm from Netflix or these guys comes up with some really weird recommendations. How personalized is this recommendation on Omlist? And maybe and I ask 100 questions in a row. So let's just go one by one. Let's talk about Omlist, what it does, and how it is different from anything out on the market.
So the main difference is that these other things that you're talking about, Netflix, Amazon, or even there's other apps that are like Letterboxd or Goodreads that are more like journal, diary, entry type stuff that other people use to sort of track what they're reading or what they're watching specifically with Letterboxd. What you're talking about with Netflix and what they're doing is that they believe that they can break down your taste into bits. They believe that they can clone a personality of you based off of you like these images more than these images. You like these colors and stuff more than these colors. You like different things. So it's kind of trying to break down your taste to ones and zeros. And I think the thing that is specific with Omlist is that we actually don't assume any of that. I like to think that there's something really unique about humans and what our experiences are and what we like. And I think there's a pattern to what we like more than other things. And so kind of the magic in our app is actually what exists in the prioritization of what you like. So eventually, if you go through the full experience of our app and you have sorted the 400 movies that you've seen, basically it gives like a unique, almost biometric of your taste. And it's comparing that against other people's. So it's not assuming Brad Pitt is in like your top 200 movies, like 5% of the time. So you must really like Brad Pitt. So I'm going to feed you more Brad Pitt. I think like the reason why a lot of those go awry is because I think they're trying to simplify something that I don't think is very simple, which is our taste. And I think that I wanted to create something that sort of acknowledged and preserved the magic of like what our taste is through just what we prioritize and not assume anything. And so basically all it does is it puts you in a taste cluster of other people that are most similar to you based on who's on the app. And then it feeds you the stuff that they love that you haven't seen. And it just keeps growing from there. Whereas everything else is they just want more compute. They want to open up a bunch of nuclear reactors just to try to figure out why you like what you like. But I think also there's different elements of what those websites or those different apps are trying to do to keep you engaged that might not actually be you finding the thing that you want. So, Netflix itself is an experience and they clock how much time you spend on the app or scrolling and they verify that number. So actually engaging with the app is the experience. And so they might want you to spend 30 minutes a day, which is what the average user on Netflix to find something to watch is around 22 minutes, which when you calculate that is almost a week of your waking life. And so how you spend your time during your day is super important to what your end year is going to be. And so I think what we think is trying to help us is actually just trying to keep us in this like limbo state of decision making and not making a decision or just scrolling forever. And because they want to sell us either more ads or they want to up their metrics that they can show to their board members and their people that are invested in them.
So I've got subscriptions to quite a few platforms, Max, Prime, Netflix. I cancelled Disney, but when the new Murders in the Building come out again, I might subscribe again. One of the challenges I find is that I've got to flick between all of these different platforms to find something that I want to watch. Does
Right.
your app could almost be, instead of me having to spend that 20 minutes trying to figure out what movies I'm looking for, I could go on to omlist.io and see these are the kind of movies that I want. Does it show me where I can view these movies?
Yes. So you can look at your recommendation list and you'll click on a movie and it'll immediately show what platforms it's currently on. We're working on eventually doing it that'll be very specific to the country that you're in or that you can actually sort based off of that. So you could say, only show me stuff that I already have, subscriptions for in this area. And so that's something that we're going to launch eventually, but you can find where it's at currently on the app.
If you could do that, that would save literally tons of time for me because I hate having to type in again. I type in my details. I want to watch this movie. Up comes the title and it says not available in your country. So if you have something like that, absolute value. So going to the next thing, you're a founder of a business. So congratulations and welcome
Thank
to
you.
the club of, and I like that you've got so much hair right now and it's all the same color, but it's not going to be like that for very long if you're going to be an entrepreneur. So tell me, how does this app make money? Is this a project of passion, or is this something that you think actually has an ability to generate revenue for you in the long term?
Yeah, we're pre-revenue. And so a lot of that is just, we're kind of in our first iteration. So I'm taking a lot of user feedback, like from yourself and other people as we grow. The main thing that we have to do when we're thinking of apps like this is there's a couple routes, like there's subscription models and there's also ads and then there's data plays. And so, I kind of feel, a little weary about data stuff and giving that to people. So I think that there's a lot that can be done actually with the ads and with subscription models. We haven't implemented that into it yet. All the users that are currently on it right now are getting a really great version of the app, but I mainly need to just get more users onto it so that I can justify the expenses of what it would be when I turn on commercial use, because the library that I'm currently using requires $3,000 a month in order to be a commercial licensed client. And so I have to basically grow my user count by getting it to people that will really love it. And when I can justify and predict what the ads we can get from it and what the users that would be likely to sign up for it, I could turn that on. And so it's mainly experimenting. This is my first app that I've launched. I've had other businesses, but this is my first tech product that I am really focused on and really passionate about.
So we had a discussion in the last couple of podcasts about networking and masterminds. Are you doing this with all of your own knowledge, and are you trying to figure out all of this shit by yourself, or are you reaching out to other people who've gone through this experience And maybe talk to us through how difficult or how easy it is for you to share your ideas and get feedback from people. Or is this something that you are a genius and you're just going to figure this out by yourself?
I'm currently learning to code. I have also had to have other people come and help me based off of when I got stuck or when something was like, so I've hired specialized freelancers that are really like math based algorithmic engineers to help me with my very simple thing that I made because I was trying to integrate these things, but my speeds of sorting were really bad. And so I just like brought in other people to kind of consult or help with different things where I hit a block. So it's also been kind of my education because I really love products, and it'd be amazing if I could just be full stack and create things on my own. And thank God for the tools because that's also accelerated my learning tenfold.
But I'm talking more about networks. And because you're a startup, I'm going to give you some pearls of wisdom which you can trample underfoot or use.
No, of
But
course.
there are communities out there of people not doing the same thing as you who would be able to help you shortcut some of these things that you've done. Because even though you think this is a brand new, unique concept, never been done before, there are thousands of entrepreneurs out there who've gone through a similar process to you who you can learn from. So have you thought about that yet? Are you actively looking at that? Or is this something that you think you might go and do? Because I've had a look at some of your socials and your exposure out in the market. And as an entrepreneur and as a tech startup especially, you've got a network like crazy.
Yeah. No, I think it's what is that the network is your net worth, right? Like that old
Yeah.
adage. I have a lot of people that I can like call and talk to that are big, like CEOs in Silicon Valley. And I also travel full time. And so I'm a part of networking groups with people that are mostly tech focused. So I have a lot of people that have gone through YC and a lot of different things. And so I do have people that I can pull on when I'm needing help, but I also am continually reaching out to people that I'm interested in, whether it's like a lot of the AI video generation world, because it's too expensive for me to do it. But I'm super fascinated about that area. And so I have been in contact with some of those founders that are trying to do that. And I'm constantly, trying to find people that are invested in similar things I'm invested in, or at the very least doing things that I'm interested in.
If I can ask, and this is because we're talking to other startups and founders out there, what are some of the challenges you're finding in terms of networking or reaching out to these folks? Do they answer you on the first call? Is this something you've got to nurture over time? Do they just not pick up the phone? And do you have any strategies that you are using to ameliorate this? Or do you want some ideas on how to reach out to folks who can help you commercialize and get this app out there into the broader market?
I mean, if you have any ideas for me, I'm always open to hearing them. But I mean, like what I'm doing is mostly just cold reach outs, and I know how to figure out people's emails. I have software that helps me figure that out, and I go through people's LinkedIn, and I'm subscribed on LinkedIn. And so I try to follow people that I'm interested in and seeing what they're posted on. And I pretty much only reach out to people I think I have some overlap with. And so whether it's people on Netflix that are doing their recommendation algorithms and trying to figure out why they do it the way that they do it, or on this flip side with people that are, creating large video generation language models. Like I think that is, what I'm constantly trying to do. And so it just, it just depends. It kind of just depends on where our focus is at the moment, I guess.
Well, you're in luck. I think this last week I interviewed one of the folks at Netflix who was responsible for figuring out the sharing passwords in Netflix.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he was in charge of the program in terms of preventing that. So he's
It's a
got
big
some
one.
deep knowledge in that. So I'm going to give you a connection to that because I love your concept and your idea. And one of the biggest things for startups is network and getting in front of the right people. And it's really tough for smart people who are good at specific technical things to network out of their comfort zone. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because this is something that a lot of startups struggle with is being
Right.
able to get, if you don't know who to speak to. So in terms of marketing your startups, this is one side of it that technical people are very poor at oftenly. Founders, either good salesmen or good technically, but are terrible at sales. How are you running your marketing of this new app? Are you waiting until it's perfect or are you getting it out there and just trying to get as many people on board as possible? And what platforms are you using to promote it?
Yes. So we're on the app stores, we're on Google, we're on, the iOS store. So we are totally findable. And the main thing that I was kind of doing was a smattering of different places. So I have a YouTube channel where I teach non-technical founders how to find the app, and those videos have performed pretty decently. And from there, I've dabbled with TikTok, but it's been a bit of a challenging thing in general, just going through that. But more experiments will be had. But the thing I was really focused on, that I really was spending this last month really putting all energy and soul into, is SEO, and trying to just really target, especially Google programmatic SEO. And so, my other business with my partner, Amy, is a memoir ghostwriting company. And so our main sort of income for clients was basically trying to bring in people from Google, because most of our clients use Google to find what they're looking for. And so I was kind of taking all that knowledge and seeing if I could plant it into a new company and how fast can I scale. And I think there's just been a lot of really interesting things happening with Google search right now. It has, had us go crazy high and go low. So it's been a very interesting thing to try to target that specific type of marketing, because I think everybody thinks of marketing as social marketing. And I think that there's other kind of clever ways, whether it's ad marketing or SEO marketing, that you get in front of people that are specifically really having a problem.
Well, I guess your benefit is being a writer in Hollywood, you know how to write, and SEO is all about writing and making sure that you get those keywords that really trigger people's interest. So I think you've got a great advantage, and it's free as well, SEO, if you do it. I mean,
Right.
you can use paid services, but you've got a tremendous advantage there. So the next question I got sort of listed here for you is, how do you stop listening to naysayers? So people who say, "Yeah, well, there are 500 apps that are doing this. Why are you sticking with this when you're making no money? It's costing you money every month." What is your vision for this? Maybe talk to me about the vision and how you block out the people saying, this is never going to work.
I think honestly, if you listen to those people, the better way to listen to naysayers is genuinely take what they're saying and see if that can make your weak point stronger. Because some people just come through and just want to say, you should never do anything and your life's terrible, and like, why try anything? Because they got hurt at one point and they want to mirror that onto you to validate why they are pursuing their dreams. But I think there's like the other version of it where negative feedback can sometimes be really helpful if it's really smart negative feedback, whether it's like, oh, your landing page is total shit, or like, oh, this thing is not great at all. Then you could be like, okay, they're pointing this out, or it's too dark over here, the text isn't big enough. Sometimes people respond negatively towards things, but there's genuinely sometimes good things to gain from them. So I think with naysayers, the other flip side of it is I have a lot of friends that are in the tech community, and they all have their half finished. And they were constantly saying, if there was any merit to your idea, why hasn't Google or Amazon done this yet? And I think it's because that they're going in a very different direction with what they think is the best thing, is that they want to make bots. Like, they want to simulate and say that we could copy human taste to sell it to you. I'm just saying that I'm wanting to preserve the human element. I think there's actually something really special about that. And that's my core thesis, which is a lot of tech people wouldn't say that. And because I come from Hollywood and I believe in like, the specialness of humans and the way we tell a story, like, I've heard this wasn't the thing that I came up with, but somebody said, I never believed in the human soul until I saw AI art. And I think there's something to that. There's something about kind of the way that our minds work and how we interact with each other that it makes kind of what we create more digestible by other people. And so I think there's definitely things that AI can help us with a ton. I believe in this core aspect because I think it's something that I believe really strongly based off of a lot of things that I experienced in my life. Like, I was an event planner also in LA, and I tried to coordinate a lot of people. And so I kind of got to understand how people operate and what they care about. And that was kind of like my theorem, put here, is to kind of see, oh, maybe there is something to this. And even our early tests, people are saying it's already recommending better things than other places. So, and that will just get infinitely better the more the time goes on.
I think there can be a lot of discussions about the aspect of AI that you mentioned, that a lot of companies are going to use all of these fantastic, and let's not lie, the AI tools are fantastic, but that human touch, just like in the arts and crafts movements where people were moving away from this whole industrialization process, there's going to be a need for a product like this, which is awesome. Now, a question that you put out to me was, what is the impact of a great recommendation? And if I can answer that quickly, growing up, I had, friends. I grew up listening to a lot of classical music. So my father's a priest, and we come from a very musical family. I listened to Bach, Beethoven, Brahms, etc. And this friend of mine said, "Well, he likes heavy metal," and I was like, "Oh, that's completely against what I my beliefs in that are." But I've grown to love heavy metal and that entire genre purely because of a recommendation and exposure to a completely different genre that I didn't know that I would absolutely love. So maybe talk to me about the impact of a great recommendation, either in your life or what this app can potentially do to improve people's lives or add some more sauce to somebody's life.
So I think there's, so what you're kind of talking about in, becoming a fan of heavy metal music, it seems like it was dictated by you wanting to be friends with this person. And what we do when we want to be in the same group with somebody is that we mirror them. That's a very like social trait, and we see it all the way down to how chimpanzees interact with each other, or even if you're in America or you have American friends, or if people are in London, like they kind of start to adopt each other's accents because they want to feel like that they're, I don't know, that they're of the same tribe. And so definitely for learning like taste and just across the board, often that's really tied to social, like it's tied to your community. And often you belong to the groups that, you share interests with that most often. And so the thing with Omlist is that like, I think there's never going to be any shortage of that, of like somebody saying like, oh, you maybe would like techno then. And maybe this guy that was like actually a classical composer is now making techno music. And maybe you'll hear something in there that he hears. And I think that that's like an epiphany moment, but sometimes I think that's predicated upon who you want to be friends with. I think the thing that I was wanting to foster is the unique niche of us. Because there's kids all over the world that, probably like anime, and there's nobody that likes anime in their city or their village or whatever, or people that really like classical music that go to high school and there's nobody else that likes classical music. Maybe their taste is actually more similar to somebody that's in their 70s. But how do you foster and grow the things that you really care about from like kind of vetted sources that are more like you? Is that there's not a lot of things that foster our unique taste. There's everything that's built for assimilating with people, and often food, culture, content is a way of doing that. But I wanted to create something that uniquely cultivated the individual, because I really liked anime in high school and I didn't know anybody else that liked anime. And people thought I was weird for watching cartoons when I was like 17 years old, and I still watch anime. But so it's like in that environment, for some reason, I really was drawn to that stuff, and I didn't have an environment that was supporting or cultivating that in me. And so I just thought like it was so hard. And it was like at the beginning of the internet when I was, in grade school, is I would just go on forums and blogs and try to see like what people would talk about. And then I would kind of pick things that sounded interesting to me, but I was having to like curate and like excavate all of this stuff out of the internet. And it's just such a costly, way to spend time, is to try to figure out what to read, what to watch. And I thought that there would just be a better way just to be, who are the people most similar to me? How does that radiate towards me so that I can filter ideas and have like a best guess immediately? And I just wanted to like build from there. Cause then ideally, like in its largest form, if there's 1 billion people that are using this thing, in my most ideal form, it's like, what would it be to have that 99% similarity to somebody? And like, would there be something really special in that that's cultivated as your unique specific person? Or is it like, there's just questions that I have. And I think like in having that, I think there is something special about how we're formed, what we like. And I believe there's other people in the world that are like that as well. And I think there would be another version of the app where it would connect you with people that are of your sort of same taste tribe, with movies, books. You can have a book club and you guys can find more stuff to discuss. I found things constantly trying to make us like the average of our environment. And I wanted to create something that cultivated your most specialized self. The idea of a great recommendation is actually coming from list in a way that I don't think has ever been cultivated before. And I don't think anybody in tech would want to give total credence to, because they want to believe that they can break you down to ones and zeros. And I think that there's probably some scientific explanation of why we are the way we are, but I don't believe it's one and zeros. Why not just find that unique assembly of tools that protects the magic of people and of a specific category and basically just fosters that towards each other. It's very rare for somebody to say, Nicholas, you like this, 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 and this. Think you're going to like this. Most people, when they recommend things, they just want you to like what they like because they want to feel good, but that's never been a good recommendation. There's a lot of stuff I like that my girlfriend would not like. And so I have to filter it through my lens of being like, okay, does it have a female lead that is it just around for a love interest? Is she competent? She really likes spy movies. She also likes Pirates of the Caribbean. So I have to kind of take these pieces and try to project a form of something else I've seen that maybe she would like based off of these subsets of things. But that's also really hard because we don't have the same taste. And that was the other thing that was really cool about Omlist is that eventually you could kind of add the people that you interact with and your partner or a group of friends, and you're trying to figure out what to read or watch or whatever together. And you could blend your lists and it would essentially say, this is what you should watch tonight. And I think that is really powerful. And that's something we don't have is how to optimize decision-making with our loved ones, our friends, our environment.
Well, I don't, obviously, you're not the only one who thinks like this, which is why I think Omlist.io has got potential. And it seems to me like the community building side of your business is going to be the next growth phase. And that obviously comes with its own challenges in terms of you need somebody to manage those groups. And this is where our friend AI comes in terms of automating a lot of this. So there's some really exciting things. I was having a discussion with a friend the other day about my YouTube playlist and my Winamp playlist back in the days. You're too young to know Winamp probably. But I was thinking when I grew up, I listened to my parents' records, my parents' tapes and CDs when they arrived. And now with my children, there are no tapes, no CDs, no LPs or records in the house. And one way of sharing culture and percolating your tastes and that down into the next generation is almost being lost a little bit now in this generation of Spotify and YouTube music. And I was thinking, if I die, what's going to happen to my YouTube music playlist? It's going to disappear. And perhaps something in terms of these are the movies that your dad or your mom loved. And here's a list of the things they watched the most. That, I think, for older folks, that might be something interesting in terms of a legacy list, in terms of this is your parents' movie list, your top 10 movies that your parents listened to. So, Kyle, where can I send folks to download this app? Because as you mentioned, it's available on both iPhone and Android. And I had a look at your website. It looks very cool. So where can we send folks?
You can just go to the website, omlist.io.
Okay, and I'm going to spell it out for folks because we don't have all American speakers here. It's Omlist, OMLIST.io, and we'll put that in the link as well. Kyle, it's been great chatting to you, and I wish you all the best. There's a lot of hard work ahead of you, and please do remind me to put you in touch with a couple of folks. And I'm going to make one suggestion for you, and this is to get involved in a mastermind or to do some additional networking with people who've gone through the same thing as you. I promise you, they will be happy to help, and they'll help you shave off time in terms of getting your product to market and getting it to be monetized. So, and the same goes for any other listeners out there who are starting their own product. Get networking right away. Don't wait.
No, and I look forward to those recommendations.
So that's the Nicholas Omlist recommendations. So thanks everyone for listening. And Kyle, thanks and good luck.
Thanks for having me.
I really do appreciate your comments. So why not go and watch this live on YouTube or go to my website, kuhne.no. That's KUHNE.no for more information.